Let me tell you about the day my family made sure I knew my place. It was a property auction, a beautiful, historic building downtown. My brother Richard was selling it, the Bennett Group's latest project. I showed up because I don't know why. Maybe I still wanted to be part of something. Maybe I'm just stupid that way. I was standing near the back, looking at the brochures, just looking. Victoria spotted me first. She tapped Richard's arm. He walked over with security, two big men in suits. Richard said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Kate, this is a private event for investors, not for, you know." He gestured at my clothes, my normal clothes, my normal life. Victoria laughed that laugh of hers, the one that sounds like breaking glass. Security escorted me out, in front of 50 people. My own brother, my own family. I sat in my car for an hour after that, not crying, just thinking about my father, Harold Bennett, who built an empire from nothing, about my mother who died young and left me with nothing but her wedding ring, about Richard, the golden boy, the heir, the one who got everything, and about me, the daughter who married the wrong man, divorced, and ended up appraising houses for a living, the poor relative, the embarrassment, the one they escort out of buildings. Here's what they don't understand about appraisers. We don't just look at houses. We look at everything. We notice details other people miss. We know what things are worth, not just the price tag, the real value, the hidden value. For 10 years, I've been appraising properties all over this city, and for 10 years, I've been quietly keeping files on everything, including properties the Bennett Group doesn't want anyone to know about. You see, my father is complicated. He loves Richard, he tolerates Victoria, and he forgets about me. But 30 years ago, before the Alzheimer's got bad, he did something interesting. He transferred several properties into a separate trust, not the main family trust, a different one. He told me about it once, drunk at Christmas. "For a rainy day, Katie," he said, "for when the vultures circle." I was the only one who knew. Richard doesn't know. Victoria doesn't know. The lawyers don't know. Just me. And I never forgot. After the auction incident, I went home and I started digging. Not hard digging. I'm an appraiser. I know where records are kept. County clerk's office, tax assessor, old files. 3 weeks later, I had it all. 5 commercial properties, prime locations, current value, about $12 million. And the trust, it had a name, the Katherine Trust, named after me, my father's rainy day fund, for when the vultures circle. The vultures were circling, and they had just escorted me out of a building. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't wave the papers around. I just waited, watched, let Richard and Victoria get comfortable, let them think I was just the poor appraiser licking my wounds in my little house. They invited me to Christmas. I went. I smiled. I brought a store-bought pie. Victoria made a comment about it. I smiled harder, because I knew something she didn't. I knew the value of everything they were standing on. Then came the announcement. The Bennett Group was going public. IPO. Richard on magazine covers. Victoria planning the party of the century. My father, in his confused state, was going to be wheeled out for photos, the symbol of legacy. They invited everyone, investors, media, politicians, and me? I got an invitation too, a pity invite for family, Victoria wrote in the card, even the appraisers. I RSVP'd yes, and I made a few copies of some very old documents. The IPO party was at the city's biggest hotel. Ballroom, chandeliers, champagne fountains. Richard in a tuxedo, Victoria in a dress that cost more than my car, my father in a wheelchair, looking confused but smiling, investors shaking hands, reporters taking photos. I stood at the back near the bar, holding a folder, a plain manila folder. No one noticed me. No one ever notices the appraiser. Richard gave a speech, vision, legacy, family values. Victoria cried on cue. Then they opened the floor for questions. A reporter asked about the company's assets. Richard started listing properties, proudly, confidently. I raised my hand, not high, just enough. Richard saw me. His smile flickered. Yes, Kate. This is for investors, not family questions. I smiled and said, Oh, I have an investor question, specifically about the Bennett portfolio. You listed several properties, but you forgot 5. The ones on Market Street, the warehouse district, the old waterfront parcels. The room went quiet. Richard's face went pale. Victoria stopped fake crying. I opened my folder. Those properties, I continued, are currently valued at approximately $12 million. They're held in a separate trust, the Katherine Trust, named after me, established 30 years ago by Harold Bennett. They're not part of the IPO because they're mine. They've always been mine. Dad just forgot to tell you. Richard started sputtering. That's not possible. I would know. I run the company. I pulled out the documents, the original trust papers, county clerk stamps, tax records. You run the company, Richard, but you don't run the county records. You don't run the tax assessor. You don't run the appraisals. That's my job, and I've been appraising these properties for years, quietly, just in case. Victoria tried to save it. She laughed that glass-breaking laugh and said, This is absurd. Kate is just bitter because we had to escort her out of an auction. She's making things up. I looked at her and said, Victoria, do you remember the historic building on 5th, the one you sold last month for $4 million? I appraised it. I know what it's worth, and I know who really owns it. Hint, not the Bennett Group. Richard grabbed the folder from my hands, flipped through it. His hands were shaking. Victoria grabbed his arm. Investors were whispering. Reporters were taking photos. My father, in his wheelchair, looked at me. For a moment, his eyes were clear, really clear, and he smiled, a tiny smile, like he remembered. Like he knew exactly what he'd done 30 years ago. I walked over to my father, knelt down beside his wheelchair, took his hand. Thank you, Dad, I whispered, for the rainy day. He squeezed my hand, just once. Then his eyes went cloudy again. But that squeeze was enough. That was everything. The IPO was postponed, obviously. Lawyers got involved. The trust was validated. The properties were transferred to me, legally, irrevocably. Richard tried to fight it, spent a fortune on lawyers, lost. Victoria tried to charm me, showed up at my house with wine and tears. I showed her the door. Kept the wine, though. It was good wine. Today, I still appraise houses. I like the work. But now I also own 5 commercial properties, prime locations, $12 million. Richard calls sometimes. He wants to partner on developments. I listen politely. Then I say, I'll have my appraiser look at it. I am my appraiser. I already looked. The answer is no. So what did I learn from all this? Never underestimate the person in the background, the one taking notes, the one who knows what things are really worth. Because while you're busy being the face of the company, they're busy appraising the foundation. And when that foundation shakes, they'll be the only one who knows how to rebuild. My name is Kate Bennett. I'm an appraiser, and I believe in knowing the true value of everything, especially family. Thanks for listening, and next time someone escorts you out of a building, make sure you know who really owns it. You might be surprised.